They called it the Society Wedding of the Year, Elliot Money marrying Carter potential. What they didn't know was that Margaret Rose Carter, adjusting her pearls in the guest suite of the Elliot estate, hadn't come to celebrate. The elderly woman touched the hidden ring in her pocket, proof of a legacy stolen decades ago. Edward Elliot had built his empire by erasing her husband's medical breakthrough from history, never imagining the quiet black grandmother in the back row owned 39% of his company through shell corporations. Margaret hadn't spent 40 years building invisible power to watch her grandson marry into the family that destroyed hers. The Elliot family had mastered appearances, but Margaret had mastered patience. Today, their dynasty would begin to crumble, not with a shout, but with the quiet click of digital evidence finding light. The Elliot family estate sprawled across 30 acres of perfect lawns, its white columns and gardens gleaming under the sun. Luxury cars lined the driveway, Bentleys, Rolls-Royces, a parade of wealth. From above, it looked like a painting, women in flowing gowns, men in sharp suits, news vans circling like vultures, their cameras hungry for the society wedding of the year. A modest Honda Civic pulled up to the valet stand. The young attendant, distracted by a shiny Lamborghini, barely noticed as Lucas Carter stepped out, straightening his suit before helping his grandmother from the passenger side. "We made it, Grandma," Lucas said, offering his arm with a warm smile. Margaret Rose Carter, 73, emerged with quiet grace. Her silver hair was styled neatly, her dark skin smooth, despite her age. She wore a simple emerald dress, elegant but understated, with a single string of pearls. "So we have," she replied, her voice calm as she scanned the estate. A flicker of memory crossed her eyes, gone as quickly as it came. The valet rushed over, his smile fading slightly. "Welcome to the Elliot estate," he said, glancing at the plain car. "Thank you," Lucas replied, handing over the keys. He felt the subtle judgment, a familiar sting after 3 years dating Amelia Elliot. As they approached the main house, Lucas's small family gathered, his mother Clara, Uncle Henry, and 17-year-old sister Zoe, who was fiddling with her phone's camera. "Put that away, Zoe," Clara whispered. "You know how these people feel about photos." Zoe rolled her eyes, tucking the phone into her purse. "These people," she muttered. "You mean my future in-laws?" Lucas squeezed her shoulder. "Best behavior today, okay? This means a lot to Amelia." Before Zoe could reply, a burst of activity at the entrance caught their attention. Amelia Elliot appeared, her blonde hair glowing in the sunlight, her white sundress somehow casual yet expensive. Her face lit up when she saw Lucas. "You're here," she exclaimed, rushing to kiss his cheek. She turned to hug Margaret. "Mrs. Carter, I'm so glad you made it." "I wouldn't miss my grandson's wedding," Margaret said, her smile warm but guarded. "Your home is beautiful." "Thank you," Amelia said, though the estate wasn't her doing. She linked arms with Lucas. "Come on, I want to show you around before the welcome brunch." As they walked away, Lucas glanced back at Margaret, who nodded reassuringly. He felt the pull between his humble roots and Amelia's glittering world. In the rose garden, Amelia relaxed. "I've missed you," she said, touching Lucas's face. "These last few days have been crazy." Lucas kissed her softly. "Nervous?" "Excited," she insisted, though her fingers fidgeted. "But stressed. You know how my family is about perfection." "They do have high standards," Lucas said carefully. "It's important to them that everything goes smoothly." Amelia nodded. "The Elliot name comes with expectations." Lucas studied her. "I noticed Grandma's room is in the West Wing. That's far from the main events." A shadow crossed Amelia's face. "Mom thought she'd like the quiet. It's private there." "She's not staff, Amelia," Lucas said. "She's family." "I know," Amelia said quickly, squeezing his hand. "The arrangements were made weeks ago. I can't change them now." Lucas let it go. "Your dad seemed surprised to see her." Amelia shrugged. Dad's been busy with work. He barely knows who's coming to his own daughter's wedding. She brightened. The brunch is starting. Let's head back. Lucas couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The way Edward Elliot had looked at Margaret wasn't polite disinterest. It was recognition, and something else Lucas couldn't name. The welcome brunch was set on a grand terrace overlooking the estate's lake. Tables bloomed with fresh flowers, waiters glided with champagne and tiny appetizers. Margaret sat with Clara and Henry, her posture perfect, her face neutral as she watched the crowd. Lucas noticed guests glance at her, then choose other tables. His jaw tightened, but a look from Clara kept him quiet. At a nearby table, a woman in a peach suit leaned toward her friend. "I didn't know the Groom's family was so diverse," she said, her voice loud enough to carry. Edward's always liked his social experiments, her companion chuckled. "Remember that urban school charity?" Margaret showed no sign she'd heard, but her grip on her water glass tightened. Lucas started to stand, but Margaret touched his arm. "Not worth it," she murmured. "Save your battles." Across the terrace, Edward Elliot stood tall, his silver hair and sharp suit radiating power. His gaze landed on Margaret, and for a moment, something passed between them, a spark of recognition that made his smile falter. Margaret met his stare, then raised her glass in a small toast. Edward turned away, diving into loud conversation with a guest. Near the dessert table, Zoe was filming the lavish spread when Amelia's cousin Nathan stepped into her frame. "Excuse me," he said with fake politeness. "The help isn't supposed to film. Privacy issue." Zoe lowered her phone, glaring. "I'm not the help. I'm the groom's sister." Nathan raised his eyebrows in mock surprise. "My mistake. You looked so comfortable serving yourself." Lucas was there in seconds, Amelia hurrying behind. "Problem?" Lucas asked, his voice tight. Nathan's smirk faded. "Just a mix-up about the photography policy." "My sister isn't staff," Lucas said loudly, drawing eyes. "She's family." "My family." An awkward silence fell. Amelia stepped in, her voice bright. "Nathan, this is Zoe, Lucas's sister." "Zoe, my cousin Nathan." "Sorry for the mix-up. Nathan's had too much champagne." She laughed, trying to lighten the mood. Nathan shrugged, barely apologetic. "Honest mistake." Zoe pocketed her phone, her eyes down. "It's fine," she said, though it wasn't. Lucas guided her away, anger simmering. "This'll be a long weekend, won't it?" Zoe whispered. Lucas didn't disagree. Later, Lucas found Margaret alone in the garden, watching birds at a feeder. "You're quiet today, Grandma," he said, sitting beside her. "I'm observing," she replied. "It's what I do best." Lucas hesitated. "Those people at brunch aren't the first to underestimate us." "And won't be the last," Margaret said, patting his hand. "I didn't raise your mom to shrink from tough rooms, and she didn't raise you that way." "We feel like outsiders here," Lucas said. "Maybe we are," Margaret said, looking at the house. "But outsiders see what insiders miss." Lucas studied her, remembering her strict rules growing up. Study hard, stand tall, never show weakness. As a kid, he'd thought her harsh. Now he saw her strength. "You never talk about your past," he said. "Before you married Grandpa." Margaret smiled mysteriously. Some stories wait for the right moment. The wedding rehearsal began at 4 p.m., led by a famous planner. In the estate's chapel, Lucas and Amelia practiced their vows under the watchful eye of Amelia's mother, Cecilia Elliot. "Lucas, darling," Cecilia called after a run-through, "stand straighter. Shoulders back, chin up. The cameras will catch everything." Lucas adjusted, catching Clara's sympathetic glance. Cecilia turned to Margaret, who sat quietly. "Mrs. Carter, for tomorrow, maybe something brighter? That emerald is lovely, but so somber for summer." "My dress is quite suitable," Margaret replied evenly. "Thank you." Cecilia's smile tightened. "We want everything perfect. The photos will be in magazines. They'll be lovely regardless, Margaret said, her tone polite but final. As the rehearsal ended, Lucas lingered with Margaret. Is this a mistake? He asked quietly. Amelia's wonderful, but her family. Margaret considered him. Marriage isn't just two people. It's two histories, two futures. She straightened his tie. You get one wedding, but masks last forever. Before Lucas could ask more, she pulled a gold ring from her pocket, its design intricate. She seemed about to show him, then closed her hand and put it back. Come, she said. They're waiting. The rehearsal dinner turned the Elliott dining hall into a display of wealth, crystal chandeliers, white roses, champagne flowing. Lucas sat beside Amelia, feeling the divide, his small family at one end of the table, the Elliott clan sprawling across the rest, their voices loud with wine. Edward Elliott stood, tapping his glass. The room quieted. Welcome, he began, his voice strong. Tomorrow, my daughter Amelia marries Lucas, a young man worthy of the Elliott name through his smarts and ambition. Lucas felt Amelia squeeze his hand, ignoring the hint that marrying an Elliott was a prize. Tonight, we celebrate their union and our families joining, Edward said, raising his glass to the Carters with a polished smile. Applause followed. Lucas noticed guests filming, despite Zoe's earlier scolding. Speeches came, some heartfelt, others name-dropping. As wine loosened tongues, Nathan stood, swaying, his face red. Lucas tensed. I'd like to toast the couple, Nathan slurred. To Amelia, with her perfect taste in fashion, food, and now, diversity initiatives. A nervous laugh rippled. Lucas stiffened. Amelia's smile froze. Lucas is great, Nathan went on, grinning. Smart, hardworking, clearly didn't get that from the Elliott side. Laughter eased the tension briefly. And his charming family, Nathan continued, gesturing. Especially his grandmother, bringing such cultural enrichment. His grin widened as he met Margaret's eyes, then mimicked a crude accent nothing like her refined speech. Child, don't worry, she ain't here to clean, just to bless us with civil rights history. Silence fell, followed by nervous chuckles. Edward's face darkened. Cecilia looked horrified but stayed silent. Amelia gave an awkward smile, frozen by etiquette. Lucas stood, his chair scraping loudly. The laughter stopped. My grandmother deserves respect, Lucas said, staring at Nathan. All our families do. Nathan rolled his eyes. It was a joke, man. Lighten up. Lucas scanned the table, Amelia's family silent, Edward and Cecilia more embarrassed by the scene than the insult. Come on, Grandma, Lucas said, turning to Margaret. Let's get air. Margaret rose with dignity, despite the humiliation. Clara, Henry, and Zoe followed, Zoe's eyes wet with anger. Whispers trailed them, so sensitive. What did they expect? On the terrace, Lucas paced. How could they just sit there? How could Amelia say nothing? Lucas, Margaret said firmly, stopping him. This isn't the time for outbursts. They disrespected you in front of everyone. Lucas said. I'm supposed to smile? Margaret gripped his arm, her strength surprising. Power is patience, she said. Watch and wait. Reaction gives them control. Strategy gives us options. Why don't they respect us, Grandma? Lucas asked. After all this time with Amelia's family, why are we outsiders? Because they never expected us in the room, Margaret said. Our presence challenges their story of who belongs. The glass doors opened, and Amelia appeared, flushed. Lucas, please come back, she pleaded. Nathan's drunk. He says dumb things when he drinks. He mocked my grandmother's race, Lucas said. And you're defending him? I'm not, Amelia said. It was a bad joke, but you're making it bigger than it needs to be. You mean I'm making it racial, Lucas said quietly. That's not what I meant, Amelia faltered. Yes, it is, Lucas said. It's only big because I'm calling it out instead of laughing. Amelia looked helpless. My parents have journalists here. This weekend is important for Dad's business. More important than respect for my family? Lucas asked. Through the doors, Edward watched, his gaze not on Lucas or Amelia, but on Margaret, wary and calculating. Amelia touched Lucas's arm. Please, for me. We'll talk later, privately. Before Lucas could answer, Cecilia appeared, her smile bright. Everything okay? She asked, as if it were a small mix-up. Just getting air, Margaret said smoothly. It's a lovely evening. Cecilia's relief was clear. Wonderful. Dessert's coming, then dancing till midnight. As Cecilia led Amelia inside, Edward approached Margaret, ignoring the others. Mrs. Carter, he said quietly, a word of advice. You're playing with fire. That woman isn't what she seems. With that, he left. Lucas stared after him. What did he mean? Margaret watched Edward go, a hint of amusement in her eyes. He wasn't talking to me, she said. He was talking to himself. Inside, the party went on, Nathan quietly removed. Lucas's family retired early, citing travel fatigue. In her West Wing room, Zoe sat on her bed, phone glowing. Her fingers flew as she uploaded a video. Tonight at my brother's rehearsal dinner, this is how his fiancé's family treated our grandmother, who raised us after Dad died, who put Lucas through college, who has more dignity than all of them. She hesitated, then posted with the hashtag Elliot wedding shame. In his room, Lucas sat, replaying the evening. A knock brought Henry, looking troubled. We need to talk about Margaret, he said. Has she told you who she really is? What she did before marrying your grandfather? Lucas frowned. She was a teacher, right? Then managed Grandpa's business. Henry shook his head. There's more. I've tried to get her to tell the family, but she says it's the past. Ask her about the companies, the patents, the board positions. Ask why the Elliots are so uneasy around her. Before Lucas could ask more, Henry left. In her room, Margaret reviewed papers from a leather portfolio. A knock brought a man in a dark suit, handing her a sealed folder. It's all there, he said. Financial records, offshore accounts, the original patent applications. Margaret nodded. And the board. Still unaware of your connection, he said. But there are whispers about the silent partner. Let them whisper, Margaret said. For now. The video's escalating things, he added. It could get messy. I've handled messy before, Margaret said. That's all for tonight. After he left, Margaret gazed out at the moonlit estate. A memory surfaced, her in her 40s, facing stern men in a boardroom, her voice firm. Control the money, you control the voice. Control the voice, you own history. Now, as the Elliot wedding teetered on scandal, it was time for a history lesson. Morning brought a tense air to the Elliot estate. The wedding was hours away, but news vans crowded the gates, reporters shouting. Security kept them back while staff tried to maintain calm. Inside, Cecilia paced the breakfast room, phone to her ear. I don't care what it takes, she hissed. Get that video down. Pay who you need. Edward scrolled his tablet, grim. The hashtag Elliot wedding shame was trending, the video viral. It's too late, he said. It's everywhere. Cecilia glared. Nothing's too late with enough money. Our PR team's drafting a statement saying the video was edited. Denying it makes it worse, Edward said. Dozens heard Nathan. Then we say he was drunk, going to rehab, that it's not our values, Cecilia snapped. We'll handle this, Edward. Amelia entered, eyes red. Mom, Dad, what do we do? Lucas isn't answering. The wedding goes on, Edward said. Guests are here, vendors paid, the press. Lucas's sister posted that video, Amelia said. How do we pretend nothing happened? Because that's what we do, Cecilia said. We rise above drama. Go get ready. After Amelia left, Edward closed the door. There's something else, he said, voice low. Lucas's grandmother. I recognized her last night. It took time, but I'm sure now. Cecilia stared. What are you talking about? I need to check something, Edward said, heading out. Keep Amelia focused. In his study, Edward opened a hidden safe, pulling out a dusty folder labeled confidential. He spread out old photos and papers. A yellowed clipping showed a young Margaret Rose Carter beside a black man in a lab coat. The headline read, "Sterling Medical Technologies announces breakthrough device." The caption, "Dr. William Carter and wife Margaret Rose Carter at the unveiling of their cardiac monitoring system." A quote noted Elliott Group acquired rights to the device, a game changer. Another file, stamped MCR 731, was heavily redacted, but what remained drained Edward's face. In the guest wing, Lucas knocked on Margaret's door. "We should leave," he said. "I can't go through with this after last night." Margaret looked calm. "Running solves nothing, Lucas. Let's finish what we started." "What did we start, Grandma?" Lucas asked. "Uncle Henry said to ask about your past, companies, patents." Margaret's eyes flickered. "Henry's timing is poor, but maybe he's right. It's time you knew." Lucas's phone buzzed. A text from Amelia. "Please talk." "I'm so sorry. I love you." He silenced it. "Why does Edward Elliott look at you like he's seen a ghost? What history do you have?" Margaret sat, motioning him to join her. "Your grandfather and I created something big once, something that changed medicine." Her voice softened. "The Elliots saw a chance. They took what wasn't theirs." "What are you saying?" Lucas asked. "Power doesn't change hands easily," Margaret said. "But patience can be rewarded." Before she could say more, Zoe burst in, excited. "The video's got 2 million views. People are canceling the Elliots. Their stock's dropping." Lucas groaned. "Zoe, what were you thinking?" "I was thinking someone had to expose them," Zoe said. "They humiliated Grandma." "You turned our family matter into a spectacle," Lucas said. "How does that help?" "Perhaps," Margaret said gently, "but timing and method matter." Zoe acted from the heart. "Now we think with our heads." Outside, Cecilia was on the phone, learning of an unauthorized board meeting at Elliott Industries. "What do you mean, unauthorized?" she snapped. "I'm the chairwoman." Her face paled. "Who called it?" At Elliott Industries headquarters, 12 board members sat around a conference table. A lawyer read, "The silent partner, M. Rose Carter Holdings, owning 39% of Elliott Trust shares, has invoked a vote of no confidence in leadership." Murmurs spread. "M. Rose Carter?" a member asked. "That shell company never votes." "Who's behind it?" "The documents say M. Rose Carter Holdings has been silent since 1983, when we acquired Sterling Medical Technologies," the lawyer said. In the bridal suite, Amelia sat among dresses and gifts, her bridesmaids' chatter hollow. When Cecilia entered, Amelia saw her distress. "What's wrong?" "Nothing, darling," Cecilia forced a smile. "The ceremony's in 3 hours. Be a beautiful bride." "Did you talk to Lucas?" Amelia asked. "Your father's handling it," Cecilia said. Amelia slipped to Edward's study, hearing him on the phone, transfer every asset to the Cayman account. "Now, before markets close." "Dad," Amelia said, pushing the door open. Edward startled, ending the call. "Amelia, shouldn't you be getting ready?" "What's going on?" she demanded. "Mom's strange. You're making secret calls, and no one's telling me about Lucas." Edward softened, closing the door. "There are things about the Carters I should have told you." He poured her brandy, a first. Lucas's grandmother, Margaret Rose Carter, worked with her husband on a cardiac monitor that saved lives. "We acquired the rights." "So?" Amelia asked. "There were legal gray areas," Edward said. "That device built our medical division, our biggest profit." "Are you saying you stole their invention?" Amelia exclaimed. "Business is complicated," Edward said. "Contracts are interpreted. Margaret's built a case against us for decades. Through Lucas, she's found her way in." "That's ridiculous," Amelia said. "Lucas loves me." "Maybe not knowingly," Edward said. "But she's dangerous," Amelia. She owns shares through offshore accounts, waiting for the right moment. You think my wedding's that moment? Amelia asked. That's insane. The timing's no coincidence, Edward said. The video, the media, the board meeting, she's behind it. In the estate's small museum, Margaret studied displays of Elliot history, photos, artifacts, plaques boasting old money and brilliance. She paused at a glass case with a cardiac monitor credited to Edward Elliot. A guide approached. Interested in Elliot medical innovations? Very, Margaret said, reading the card. This is a nice sly you've built. Excuse me? The guide said. Nothing, Margaret said pleasantly. Just admiring the storytelling. She checked her watch. The wedding was 2 hours away, but her plans, set decades ago, were moving. In Lucas's room, he opened a trunk Margaret gave him. Inside were ledgers, bank letters, photos of his grandfather with dignitaries, and a patent application listing William and Margaret Carter as inventors, reassigned to Elliot Industries through legal tricks. His phone rang an unknown number. Mr. Carter, a voice said, Elliot Industries is liquidating your grandmother's holdings, moving funds offshore. What holdings? Who is this? Lucas asked. A friend, the voice said. They don't know it's her yet, but they suspect. They're protecting themselves from justice. After the call, Lucas sat, the documents a puzzle he was starting to understand. His grandmother's work had been stolen, and his relationship with Amelia was tangled in a decades-old fight. As the wedding neared, Margaret found Edward waiting in her room. I know what you're doing, he said. Using Lucas for revenge. Margaret stayed calm. Is that your story, Edward? That I'm the villain. You disappeared for 30 years, Edward said. Why now? Why target my daughter? I didn't target anyone, Margaret said. Lucas met Amelia at college. Their love isn't about our past. A convenient coincidence, Edward scoffed. Not everything's a plot, Margaret said. Sometimes life brings things full circle. She pulled her dress from the closet. Your real worry isn't my presence. It's what I know, what I can prove. Edward's jaw tightened. Whatever grievances you have. I have proof, Margaret cut in. Proof you stole my husband's work, excluded us from credit, threatened us when we fought back. That was business, Edward said. Nothing personal. Margaret smiled thinly. Taking a man's life's work isn't personal? Erasing us from history isn't personal. She stepped closer. You stole more than patents, Edward. You stole legacy. Outside, guests arrived, the media doubled, buzzing about the viral video. In the bridal suite, Amelia sat, her dress half-fastened, her mind on Edward's words. A knock brought Lucas, somber in his tuxedo. We need to talk, he said. I know, Amelia said, tears near. Dad told me about your grandparents' invention, what our family did. Did you know before today? Lucas asked. Of course not, Amelia said. I'd have told you. I'm ashamed. There's more, Lucas said, holding her hands. Your family erased my grandparents from history. They took credit, recognition, legacy. Amelia wiped a tear. I'm not my parents, Lucas. I didn't do this. I know, Lucas said softly. But you benefit from it every day. This house, your lifestyle, it's built on what they took. What are you saying? Amelia asked. I'm saying we can't pretend, Lucas said. We can't vow love while your family hides what they did. Amelia gripped his hands. We can fix this together after the wedding. That's just it, Lucas said. There's always a reason to wait, to not rock the boat. Last night, when Nathan mocked Grandma, you smiled. You didn't stand up. You said I overreacted. I was caught off guard, Amelia protested. And that's the problem, Lucas said sadly. When it's tough, you choose the easy path. The wedding planner knocked. Amelia, it's time. Lucas stood. I'll see you out there. Amelia stared at her reflection, unsure who she saw. The Elliott Gardens became a fairy tale venue, white chairs, rose petals, a floral arch. A quartet played as guests sat, whispering about the scandal. Security kept reporters at bay, but lenses caught everything. Lucas stood at the altar, his groomsmen beside him, his face unreadable. His family sat in front, but Margaret was rows back, a deliberate slight noticed by alert guests. A socialite whispered they put the groom's grandmother in the back. She doesn't fit the decor, does she? Her friend snickered, unaware Zoe was recording. The music swelled. Amelia appeared, ethereal in her gown, escorted by Edward. Her smile was forced, her eyes on Lucas. The officiant began, "Dearly beloved, we are gathered to unite Amelia Elliott and Lucas Carter in holy matrimony." As vows neared, Lucas's gaze drifted to Margaret, dignified despite her placement. She met his eyes, her strength clear. The officiant called for rings. Lucas's cousin brought them. Then, a commotion. Zoe slumped in her chair, pale. "Is there a doctor?" someone called. Margaret rose, moving to Zoe's side. Guests craned to see. Cecilia, in the front row, hissed, "Not now, this nonsense." Edward restrained her, but guests heard. Lucas hurried to Zoe. "What's wrong?" "Just dizzy," Zoe murmured, her eyes signaling a plan. "Sorry to interrupt." Margaret helped Zoe up. "Let's get water, dear." "Continue." The officiant cleared his throat. "Shall we proceed?" Lucas returned, troubled. Amelia reached for his hand, but he was distant. "The vows?" the officiant prompted. Amelia went first, her voice shaky, promising to love and cherish Lucas. When Lucas's turn came, he paused, looking at the guests, Amelia's family on one side, his small group on the other. "I had vows prepared," Lucas said, beautiful ones about Amelia's light, her smile. He hardened. "But I can't speak of love and honesty amid lies." Murmurs spread. Amelia paled. "Lucas, please," she whispered. "I'm sorry, Amelia," Lucas said, his voice clear. "Are we pretending this is love when your family mocks mine, covers it up, seats my grandmother like an afterthought, builds their wealth by stealing from mine?" Edward stood. "Enough. This isn't the time." "It never is," Lucas retorted. "There's never a right time for truth." "I'm making it now," guests whispered, some filming. Margaret rose, approaching Lucas. "Come," she said, offering her hand. Lucas took it, turning to Amelia. "I do love you," he said softly. "But I can't marry into a family that won't face their wrongs, that values image over truth." He followed Margaret down the aisle, Zoe, Clara, and Henry joining them, a united front. Amelia stood frozen, heartbreak on her face. Cecilia rushed to her. Edward barked at security. "Get those photographers out." "No images of this." But it was too late. Photos of Lucas's exit spread online, the hashtag Elliott wedding shame hashtag exploding. That evening, in a secure office, Margaret worked at a computer, sending files, financial records, patents, correspondence. A secure phone rang. "It's done," she said. "Send everything. Records, patents, emails." "The federal agencies are notified," a voice confirmed. "The press has the initial package. Social media's ready with the timeline. By morning, it'll be everywhere." Margaret ended the call, opening a folder with old photos, her husband in his lab, her presenting at a conference, both receiving an award later erased. She placed recent Elliott Industries clippings beside them, built on her stolen innovation. "This is just the start," she whispered. Across town, Lucas sat in his apartment, ignoring Amelia's messages. A knock brought Amelia, still in her wedding dress, her makeup streaked. "Can I come in?" she asked. Lucas let her in. She stood in his simple living room, a vision in white. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked. "About your grandmother, the patents, all of it?" "I didn't know until yesterday," Lucas said. "Grandma kept it private, even from us." Amelia sank onto the couch. "I feel like my life's a lie." "Not all of it," Lucas said. "What we had was real." Then why not go through with it? Amelia asked. We could have fixed things. Lucas shook his head. I watched your family handle Nathan's toast, seat Grandma in the back, minimize instead of apologize. Every time there's a choice between right and easy, you pick easy. That's not fair, Amelia said. I was caught in the middle. And you stayed there, Lucas said. You looked away too many times. Amelia's tears fell. So that's it? 3 years, and you throw it away over old history. It's not old, Lucas said. It's ongoing. Your family still profits from what they stole, still erases my grandparents. Amelia stood, anger flashing. And your grandmother using our wedding for revenge is better? She didn't plan this, Lucas said. But when the chance came to set things right, she took it. Is that wrong? Amelia moved to the door, turning back. I really did love you, Lucas. I know, he said. That's what makes this hard. After she left, Lucas saw news alerts. Elliott Industries under federal scrutiny, allegations of intellectual property theft. Reports detailed the erasure of William and Margaret Rose Carter's contributions. Lucas felt no joy, only a sense that justice, long delayed, was arriving. Morning brought chaos to the Elliott estate. Federal SUVs lined the driveway, agents presenting Edward with documents. Search and seizure, an agent said. Financial fraud, intellectual property theft, tax evasion, obstruction. On_. What grounds? Edward's voice cracked. We have a warrant for all records since 1983, the agent replied. Edward's lawyer whispered, Don't speak. Those documents shouldn't exist. Outside, reporters swarmed. Headlines blared. Wedding scandal sparks Elliott Empire probe. Margaret's name was absent, a strategic omission for later impact. In the West Wing, Cecilia paced, barking at the crisis team. Kill this story. Buy who you need. Edward burst in. It's worse. She owns 39% of our legacy brand through M. Rose Carter Holdings. Cecilia sank onto a chaise, trembling. How? We'd have known. She's been inside all along, Edward muttered, pouring scotch. Watching, building her case while we thought we were untouchable. What do we do? Cecilia asked. Call the board, our bankers, Edward said. Move everything tonight before they freeze accounts. In a hotel, Amelia sat in her wedding dress, watching her family's downfall on TV. Her phone buzzed with reporters and fake sympathy. She deleted photos of Lucas, memories now tainted. A news alert showed old footage of William Carter receiving an award, later credited to Edward. Amelia turned off the TV, unable to face more truth. Lucas returned to his apartment, drained. Margaret had left for a secure location with advisors. He resented being left to handle the fallout. A knock brought Zoe with coffee and bagels. Reporters camped at Mom's all night, she said, showing trending posts linking William's patents to Elliott's medical division. How much did you know? Lucas asked. Not everything, Zoe said. Grandma told me some last year, said I needed to know our legacy. She called me strategic. She smiled. Your collapse at the wedding was strategic too. Got you away from the altar. In Edward's office, asset transfers stalled. Banks cited regulatory holds. What do you mean you can't process? Edward shouted. I own this company. M. Rose Carter Holdings lodged an objection, the banker said. We need dual authorization. Edward slammed the phone down, his world collapsing. Investors distanced themselves. The stock plummeted. At a downtown club, Margaret met George Harper, Elliott's biggest outside investor. Her calm contrasted his anxiety. Mrs. Carter, he began, I had no knowledge of your husband's patents. Of course not, Margaret said. You joined in 1996, after Edward scrubbed the records. What do you want? George asked. Not revenge, Margaret said. Justice, correction. The company's strong. With new leadership, shareholders won't suffer. A takeover? George asked. Salvation, Margaret said. My 39% and your 17%, plus silent partners, can remove Edward without destroying jobs. George saw her plan. You've planned this for decades. I've been patient, Margaret corrected. Amelia's Aunt Ellen, Edward's sister, broke down in an interview. I remember Margaret Rose Carter. She was brilliant, the real force behind what we claimed. Edward made us complicit in erasing her. She looked at the camera. I'm sorry, Margaret. We should have stood up. Amelia, in her hotel, saw her family's facade crumble. She understood the privilege built on theft. She deleted her last Lucas photos, her future gone. 3 days later, Margaret called Lucas to a nondescript office. A guard led him to a basement archive, glass cases with documents, photos, artifacts. What is this? Lucas asked. My insurance, my testimony, my life's work, Margaret said, showing photos of her and William at Howard University in 1962. She told their story, a revolutionary cardiac monitor developed in their garage. William had medical expertise, Margaret engineering. They needed funding and Elliott Industries offered a deal, but fine print transferred all rights. We fought for 2 years, Margaret said. Then William had a heart attack from stress. I changed strategies. She showed how she built power through proxies, offshore trusts, and silent investments, becoming invisible to wield influence. My regret, she said, touching William's photo, was not fighting publicly when they took his name off the patent. He died thinking he'd be forgotten. Why keep it from me? Lucas asked. If I raised you to expect kindness, you'd have broken, Margaret said. I raised you to be strong, prepared. Did you know when I dated Amelia? Lucas asked. Life has its poetry, Margaret said. I didn't plan your love, but when I saw who she was, I knew it was my chance for restoration, not revenge. That afternoon, Margaret held a press briefing. History doesn't repeat. It waits, she said. 40 years ago, my husband and I created technology that saved millions. It was taken through legal tricks and racial bias. I seek correction, not vengeance, truth and credit restored. She demanded William's recognition, renaming the cardiac division, a foundation for Black innovators and new Elliott Industries leadership. Amelia, watching, saw Margaret's brilliance, her patient leverage while the Elliots grew complacent. That evening, a gala honored Margaret. A senator whispered, "You outplayed us all." Edward never saw it. He saw what he wanted, Margaret said. A world where I stayed invisible. At the estate, Cecilia told Edward, the board voted you out. Edward, surrounded by empty bottles, barely reacted. Cecilia visited Margaret's hotel, desperate. Please, my children don't deserve to lose everything. Mercy? Margaret said. Like when you seated me in the back. Laughed at racist jokes. She opened the door. Justice doesn't ask permission, Cecilia. Nor do consequences. Margaret returned to a modest apartment, opening a safe to place William's portrait on the mantel. It's done, William, she whispered. They know your name. Next morning, Lucas visited. Stock prices are stabilizing, he said. The board's following your recommendations. And you? Margaret asked. Processing, Lucas said. The history, the Elliots, Amelia. He paused. Do you regret me walking away? No, Margaret said. Your grandfather would be proud, not just for leaving, but for standing in your truth. She handed him a box with a letter from William to his grandchildren, urging them to build rooms for all who deserve to enter. 6 months later, Edward Elliott faced indictment on 17 counts, fraud, theft, evasion, up to 30 years in prison. At the estate, Cecilia oversaw movers packing valuables, assets frozen. Headlines detailed their fall. Lucas taught financial literacy at Riverside Community College, empowering underserved students. Zoe, 23, produced a documentary on Margaret's life and erased Black innovators, funded by anonymous donors, Margaret, Lucas suspected. It grew from 3 to 6 episodes, a streaming hit. The Elliots' event planner sued for breach and defamation, their reputation tied to the scandal. Cecilia's sister fled to Europe, avoiding subpoenas. Other Elliots distanced themselves, claiming doubts about Edward. Amelia stayed, moving to a one-bedroom apartment, volunteering at a youth center. She texted Lucas, "I'm back. Can we talk? Just closure." They met at a quiet cafe. Amelia, in jeans, looked changed. "I'm not here to win you back," she said. "I understand now." She described a girl's science project credited to another, feeling her grandparents' pain. "I work at a shelter now, using my skills for good." "That's good," Lucas said. "Can we be friends someday?" "Some things can't be undone," Lucas said. "But people can change." Amelia sent Lucas the engagement ring with a note. "This belongs with you. May it find a worthy hand." Lucas teared up, not for loss, but growth. Amelia shared a statement. "I benefited from privilege and injustice without questioning. Ignorance wasn't innocent. I'll dismantle what my family built." Reactions varied, but Lucas saw sincerity. Lucas and Margaret visited William's grave, placing flowers. "I promised him I'd rewrite the story," Margaret said, "for all whose contributions were erased." "We did more than survive," Lucas said. "We're rewriting." Margaret emerged in the press as a strategic genius. She funded the William Carter Innovation Fund, supporting marginalized inventors under William's name. The first grant went to a young Black woman in medical tech, echoing Margaret and William's work. 5 years later, a gala at the Metropolitan Museum launched the Carter Foundation, led by Lucas, for inner-city education. Margaret, 78, stepped back, entrusting initiatives to Lucas and Zoe. Zoe, 28, won an award for her documentary series, Erased, starting with Margaret's story. "Legacy isn't what you leave," she said. "It's what you force into light." Lucas focused on community impact, rejecting political offers. The Elliot name faded. Edward was imprisoned, their companies dissolved. Amelia worked with shelters, crossing paths with Lucas cordially, their respect mutual. Margaret declined a presidential medal, suggesting recognition for Zoe's innovators. She attended a museum exhibit unveiling a bronze statue of her and William, holding their devices' blueprints. The plaque read, "William and Margaret Rose Carter. Their vision saved lives. Their perseverance secured justice." Margaret moved to a Vermont farmhouse, gardening and writing. A girl, Lila Johnson, asked if she was the woman who took down Elliott Industries. "I used to be," Margaret said, sharing William's story, seeing her own spark in Lila's eyes. The story closed with Margaret watching sunflowers turn to the light, her legacy in changed possibilities, her family safe, her silence broken, her truth known. Lucas arrived, sharing foundation news, learning from her patience. Justice, not revenge, had won a long game perfectly played.